Hello, in this episode we are going to look at the Space Cruiser Defender by Techsoft Games. It's a spaceship with interior and exterior. It has about 165 meshes. It has an overview and a showcase level. This asset normally goes for around $50. And the author has many other products. Going into the showcase level, we can see that there are many different meshes of different sizes, of different varying qualities. Some of them are suitable for first person and others are for third person, but they're usually well made. Here's a quick tour of the assets. The control room, engines, teleporters or elevators, and the spaceships. Now there are three different kinds. All of them are static mesh single piece, and unfortunately the inside have grunge and wear and tear in them. It shouldn't be like that. They're static meshes, like I said, with no separated functional parts. Going into the spaceship, the actual spaceship, it is comprised of different pieces, different large pieces. Here's the modeling, the lightning only view mode. Look at the modeling of the meshes. You can see that some of them kind of benefit from a little bit more triangles. Usually the bubbles are good, except for a couple like this one. A bit more detail on some of those, not really bad. Here are the collisions. Although they are convex, I think they are well made for the pieces. Although they are auto-generated, like you can see the collision does not block the spaces in between. There is the demonstration maps, and there is demo, and some blueprints about the elevator and functional parts, basic. Going to the meshes, you can see that most of the assets are below 5,000, but there is a problem of having multiple meshes having more than one material. We can see that the questionable UV here, although it works, I prefer them to be condensed, but no problem in that front. Some of the meshes have justified more the material, like they are too large, like this one, although like these glowing parts or emissive parts should have been just made with a mask, or that small part doesn't need a material instance for it. Some others are justified, like the translucent part, but for example this here doesn't need it. This one is questionable. I think the emissive part is extra, should have been done with a mask, which is unfortunate. Here's the control room. And the problem with the spaceships, like that doesn't need a separate material, in my opinion. Mask can do more than enough. At least you can separate them using something like Blender, since they have different parts. I think you can do it in UE as well. Going to the UVs, you can spot almost two problems immediately. One of them is not using overlapping UVs for the parts that almost are identical, and the second one is that the same texture is being shared by other meshes as well. It's using the same texture, so that's why the UVs, you feel that they are spacing in UVs. You can see some of meshes like this one, this bed, have really good UV. Unfortunately, these grays do share one texture. Looking at the weapon here, it has an extra unused material, like nothing is assigned to it, and the other one is only for the scope. That could have just been done with the masked material, just one. Anyways, getting into the texture part, some of them does have alpha channel, but dimensions generally 194 4K textures. 188 2K, 15 1K, and 9 500 by 12 and 8 256. Getting into the materials themselves, there are material instances and master materials. Although the master materials are a couple. This is one of the for decals, for logos and stuff. The glass, there is a better glass and even a higher end glass, which is in think translucency. It's one of the main master materials. That we will get into the parameters after this. There are lots of master materials. I prefer them to be less, but still, like this one uses subsurface scattering only for that one. I mean, nice to have such detail, even for one. Looking at the material instant parameters. Texture, base color, ORM, and normal map. Typical PBR workflow. Now you have the option to change the metallic value. Although I don't know why would you do that, and disabling the textures. You can change the disable normal maps, occlusion, other stuff, and have the option to use detail normal, which is nice. You can change the color, the tint of the object. However, it's not changing. Strange, it was working. Did I disable something here and there? I must have messed around. Oh yeah, that's the V mode. I put it in the lighting, on the detail lighting. Okay, so it does change color as expected, and even these UI stuff. They use, I think, a different master material, but still, it gives you the option to change the color. The stretching the UVs and translating it as well. I just like using normal for that one, that's why I disabled it. You can see the material on this one is a little bit different. It uses a tile, it tiles the UV because it's so large, which is really acceptable. Oh, so it's cut from the other side, that's why it wasn't showing properly. Change metallic roughness. Enabling occlusion depending on your need. It only have normal and base colors. And it's getting into the demonstration level. Checking the dimensions of the actual spaceship, it's about 27,200 something Unreal units, which equates to about 270 something meters long. There's the casual, like third person player that isn't set by default for some reason. So to be able to leverage it, you have to play that. So the doors work because it has basic blueprints. Although I'll better off showing it in first person to see the details better. So after changing some settings to enable the first person character to be to interact with the doors, now we have that turret moving around, doors interacting, going to the elevator and into the hangar. You can see the details up close. I think a couple of things about the roughness. I think it's too glossy, so I should turn up the roughness. But all of these settings are changeable in the materials. Also, this is like the sleeping quarters or bedrooms. Each room has like a different style to it, different orientation of and different numbers and orientation of the props in there. You can see it's perfectly fine for up close. Only a few assets get blurry, but it's perfectly fine and usable. That was the cafeteria. Going to the meeting room. Considering the price, there is not much spaceships on the marketplace that have interior for this price and scale. Okay, going to back to the hangar and into the engine room. Oh, so it goes back up. I didn't know that. And I'm stuck. Okay, after playing it again. This is the engine room. It's like the control room. There is some collision problems here and there, especially on the stairs or on ramps. And because the collision is thin, sometimes you actually just jump right through or just fall through things because it's not thick enough, and the physics engine is because of the substepping. So what do I think about it? I would say that most of the meshes are pretty good and can be used in first person view mode with the exception of the large parts. It has a like large size, the entire mesh, and some of the elevator parts like have functional blueprints, maybe basic but still functional. What I do not like about it is that about how much was it? It was like 50 something meshes out of 160. They have more than one material slots. Some of them are justified and most of the others are not. So that's something I really dislike. And the other main thing that I dislike would be the UVs. Now some of them were good, but some others use like or share the same texture. I dislike such practice. Plus, like even on individual meshes, whether they have shared textures or not, you could have overlap some of the UVs, and the result, well, you see that it led to the result. It led to reduction of this UV space by uh, it may be an arbitrary number, but maybe more than 50%. That's too much, in my opinion. It result in some challenge to texture the other maps, not just the base color, but still. I think that can be done since like most of the shapes are symmetrical. Some of the meshes, I thought about the bevels. It looked like it is a problem with the mesh normals that can be resolved in the engine by just recalculating or recomputing the normals. The collisions, while they were somewhat accurate, there was a problem with them being too thin and you just slide through things. Sometimes it happened a couple of times, maybe not in the videos, but it happened while I was looking at the level. Now, some of the on the material side, some of them had like some of the meshes were too glossy, but you can change that using the roughness, so that's not much problem. That's what I can think of it actually. Oh yeah, there was something about the logos. It was mentioned in the page, in the marketplace page, that you could change the texture, but I couldn't. And there was only like one decal I found, but like some of the others have been baked, like the logo have been baked into the base color and the other maps. So I just like such practice. Using masks in such cases is the way to go, in my opinion. I hope you enjoyed.